sitting there thinking I'd rather come back looking for 11,000 feet of concrete right where I left it than try to find 1,100 feet of steel bobbing around in the South China Sea. So I went for the Air Force. The Vietnam conflict was well underway, and some significant things that happened back here in the States that, make you think about what you're really doing. The Kent shooting was one of the big ones. Some of the riots that were going on in Berkeley and the marches in Washington, D.C. But I had for all the reasons that a person might now think about communism, but you think about somewhere you have to make a stand. And Vietnam, to me, seemed like the right place, and I was willing to go. I can remember very vividly standing on the stair of that DC-8, getting off at Cameron Bay, feeling the oppressive heat and humidity, and thinking, what have I gotten myself into, And you got all these conflicting things in your mind, but you got the excitement of going over there and not really knowing exactly what it is that you're going to do, but you know that whatever bad happens, it's going to happen to somebody else. You know it won't happen to you. And we started a week of orientation, and the fires were still burning to fight that war. I really wanted to do that. But in the course of a week, some things came up, and, it kind of changed the direction that my whole Air Force career went. You heard stories, you saw guys coming in wearing all this gold, and the stories were just very intriguing, and they were pretty closed-mouthed about what was being said, but you got the idea of what it was, a different kind of war, and one with a lot fewer restrictions and rules of engagement. And all of a sudden I felt something in the number 2 engine, the rear engine on an O2, and I felt something that just made my mouth go dry, my palms get sweaty. You feel a lot of things. That was different. I looked at the instruments, saw the fuel pressure dropping for the rear engine, and I thought it must be a aux pump, tank running dry, and I switched the tanks, and then all of a sudden I got a runaway prop, and you have to pull the nose up, try to load up the prop so it doesn't just, detonate the engine. And anyway, my right seater, Bob Reed, he pulled a scope in, a Starlight scope. He wanted to know what was going on, and we had fighters checking in, and I said, we've got problems. The engine quit, had to jettison all the stores, and now all the gunners on the ground thought they had a wounded duck. All the AAA was now directed our way, and I'm trying to go through emergency procedures, jettison the ordnance. We had all the power on the front engine, and it was heating up, and we were edging further and further south, and we told Wei Fubai approach control that we had an emergency, and they cleared all traffic. And they were going to give us radar vectors to the final approach at Quang Tri. And the weather there had been called at 6 miles in light fog, was now 3 miles in fog. We were going into the fog, and looking down, we could see some lights in the city, and I hit the minimum descent altitude and was flying just to finish the approach by time, and Bob says, I see the runway. And I wasn't quite lined up, but I rolled that thing up. I cranked it around, and I slammed it down and hit the brakes, and all the rubber that was left on that perforated steel planking that had been there for years was just wet. It was slick, and I went sailing down that runway. Brakes were doing me almost no good, and got it stopped at the end. I mean, you know, so there was everybody in that thing, and I got it, and I felt very proud of that. So anyway, my right seater never did let me forget the fact that I turned around and flew back through that AAA. I mean, I don't know how lucky you can get, but we were very lucky that night. And so the people that qualified for this, that went through all that vetting and got there and survived it, it is a close-knit group. When I arrived at Travis, my brother picked me up and he wanted to show me the Hyatt Regency in San Francisco, which of course that was beautiful architecture and very new then. And so we went in there and they were going to burn a flag, and I grabbed that flag, and I remember looking this guy in the eyes, and you know, he didn't challenge me. He didn't have the intestinal fortitude to really do anything, but I was pretty hot at that point. When I went over there, I was full of fire and enthusiasm, and then I was very cynical as I was coming back that you could see it. This war was not going to end well for us. I look back on it now and you think, what was it all about? I mean, the domino theory didn't really come to pass that Eisenhower talked about so much, and you know, Laos went commie and Vietnam went commie, and I'd say at this point, you know, it's kind of mission accomplished from the whole aspect of the Vietnam thing, where soldiers went and people despised them for doing that. They came back and they were despised even more, to where now, you know, anybody you see in a uniform, you know, you say, welcome back, thank you. You know, that, if there was anything that the Vietnam War did, it made people appreciate the guy that has to go fight it.
These personal Vietnam War stories are made possible by these sponsors.